Sunlight shone upon the magnificent imperial palace, where the royal guard was lined up perfectly outside. Thanks for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful day. The person who appeared was Not Good Hyde, the emperor of the FNA Empire, who was at a loss for words. The girl pushed a book forward. Your Majesty? No, his older brother. This is a log of Maxon's vocabulary. Would you like to read it? This white-haired man was Johann Dysot, captain of the Holy Knights, and unexpectedly, he and Johann said in unison, I have no words to say in my defense. She had a small request. Both of you please raise your heads, only then can we begin. The parent-teacher conference properly, right? The youngest captain of the Grand Temple's Knights, someone whom even the high nobility found it difficult to face. Not and Johann were so embarrassed they didn't know where to look. That's right, and the Emperor, the very sky of the Empire. But even they were no exception, as Emna showed her friendliness in front of the guardians. Then shall we begin? Yes, right here at Roneidel Kindergarten. My name is Emna Belchester, and I'm the teacher of the Sunshine class at Roneidel Kindergarten. And I'm someone who transmigrated into the world of a novel. As for my class, the Sunshine class, Marilyn greeted her teacher with a bright smile. Hello, teacher. The female lead of the original novel, the youngest daughter of the High Priest, Marilyn Dysart. She greeted her back warmly. Hello, Marie. And the little girl hugged Emna tightly, while Maxon tugged at her skirt. Hello, teacher. The male lead of the original novel, Imperial Prince Maxon Goodhigh, and just like that, this class was filled with the second-generation heirs of prestigious families. Emna sat at the piano. Who wants to sing with me? If only that was all there was to it. Like I said, this is the world of a novel, and the opening was originally like this. It's so boring. I'm looking forward to my debut. Marilyn, when she was 18 years old, stepped out onto a balcony and there was Maxon. Yes, that was their first meeting, her singing. The male lead of the original novel, Imperial Prince Maxon Goodhigh, and just like that, this class was filled with the second-generation heirs of prestigious. Was so clear, by the stream, a little tadpole. Emna felt that something was very wrong. Shouldn't it be when they were just 5 years old in kindergarten? The job I had in my past life, just to make a living. So, I couldn't take it lightly. So I gave it my all, and thanks to that, this kindergarten became a top-tier international educational institution. Who would have thought that the main characters would meet so soon here? Maxon blurted out something nasty. You stupid mutt. Marilyn, not focusing on her song, sang, It becomes a frog. The little girl's anger immediately flared up as she hit the boy. That's a bad word. Emna rushed to intervene. Marilyn, Maxon. Oh my gosh, these tiny kids. In this world, they pull hair more effectively than adults. It was so hard for her to pull the two kids apart. Everyone, you know you're not supposed to fight. For that reason, let's now return to the present. Emna decided to invite their guardians to the school. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I am Emna, the children's homeroom teacher. She was polite before bringing up the issue. Esteemed guardians. He jumped in surprise. Guardians? Johann quickly explained, I am Marilyn's older brother. Please, speak freely. Emna tried to force a bright smile. One is the Emperor, the other is the Captain of the Knights. How? Could I possibly speak freely? First of all, thank you both for coming here. He doesn't want to waste time on trivialities, since I was summoned all the way here. I hope this is worth it. She felt uneasy. I feel like I'm being overwhelmed by their aura, but I can't back down now. Very well, let me get straight to the point. FNA skillfully explained to the two brothers, at this age, children are very active. As their major muscle groups develop, they naturally run and jump around a lot. A little tip for handling parent meetings. First, lay the groundwork. Second, lay the groundwork. And third, lay the groundwork. There's no major LEM with your children. Reassuring the parents is the most important thing. Then they will ask. He set his teacup down, looking quite displeased. You said you'd get straight to the point, yet your introduction is so long-winded. Emna had anticipated this long ago, just as she expected. She stated frankly, however, for that very reason, they sometimes can't control their own strength and end up hurting other children. He hesitated, not finishing the sentence. Does that mean he was unhappy? Who would dare lay a hand on royalty? Johann's demeanor suddenly turned hostile. After a long moment, he suddenly covered his mouth to laugh. Oh my, it seems the little prince is quite the troublemaker, isn't he? He threatens at the slightest opportunity, calling it mischievous. Huh? If you were to die for the crime of insulting royalty, my little brother would be very sad. Johann wouldn't be intimidated. So, he retorted, the people of the empire would be the saddest, because that death would be a great injustice. He couldn't understand. There was no precedent for someone who insulted royalty to survive, yet you call that an injustice? Tice? He kept provoking him. How pathetic. A royal family that can't even accept a tiny bit of criticism. Fna thought it was her own fault. Perhaps I shouldn't have called you both in at the same time. She mentioned her students, Marin and Maxon. The two of them have thrown punches at each other. The two brothers were stunned silent. What? Johann said. That's impossible. Marin is a precious child. If an insect even flies by, she showers it with praise. And Maxon has always been diligent in his studies of royal etiquette. EMNA wasn't surprised. I thought so too when I read their files. At an age where it's hard to suppress impulsiveness, but the real problem lies elsewhere. If this continues, it will be difficult for the two of them to get close to their classmates. Not and Johann looked devastated. His arm trembled uncontrollably. The youngest daughter of the High Priest, who can knock a bird out of the sky. He looked as if he'd been struck by lightning. The sole prince of the empire, whom no one would dare to treat carelessly. And you're saying no one dares to get close to my little brother? Fana wasn't surprised in the slightest. It was written all over both of their foreheads. Of course, I will do my absolute best to guide the children, but I will need your help at home as well. Not and Johan remained silent. Her imagination ran wild. Just look at their silent reaction. Goodness, they're just like first-time parents, but compared to other guardians, they're like gentle little lambs. No, that's not right. More like docile beasts. At times like these, it's important to hold the reins tightly. Now then, he agreed to do, as F&A said. I will have a proper talk with her. What she was waiting for was his answer. And what about His Highness, sir? He's extremely flustered, so I will also instruct the official in charge of royal education about this. Edna firmly objected. No, you must speak with Maxon directly. He won't know how to explain. How? As his teacher, I've always understood his feelings. I know you are the sun and sky of the Empire, but he even acts up with me. Then you must also know how much time I took to come here. She was at her wit's end with this situation. Here we go again. With the power struggle. Edna could only sigh, but in her own office, she remained calm. Since your majesty took the time to come all this way, I trust you will pay more attention to this. Message. What the hell? If you don't like it, just hang me. I've died once already, what's there to be scared of now? He slammed his hands on the table. To stand up. Edna was suddenly bewildered. His majesty hadn't said anything harsh. She looked up at him. Edna felt guilty. Did I go too far? He is the emperor after all. Perhaps I was too reckless. But his majesty agreed. The teacher is right. Johan continued to badmouth the other man. Someone who always makes excuses to neglect his family is truly pathetic. It made her incredibly anxious. Hey, don't provoke his majesty right now. Edna could tell just by looking at that smug, the expression of his, as if he himself were completely innocent. That applies to you as well, Captain of the Knights. His mood instantly soured. What? Edna earnestly guided them both. Please talk to the children about their life in kindergarten, will you? It was an occupational hazard, an illness that compelled her to say what needed to be said, even if she was being beaten down. The desperate struggle not to get dragged into the chaos of the parent-teacher conference. Johan and Nott were left speechless. She calmly sipped her tea. Both of them appeared to be thinking very hard. It was understandable, since raising children has always been the hardest job in the world. Just as he set his teacup down, Marilyn was already peeking in from outside the door. Teacher Edna noticed little Marilyn. Johan assumed Marin was there for him. My little sister is such a clinger. Come here, Marin. The little girl scampered into the room, and Marin ran right past Johan. Before he knew it. That's right, my sweet Marin. It turned out she wanted to leap into the arms of Edna, her beautiful teacher. I love you, teacher. Edna gently called her name, Marie. Marie was worried. Teacher, is my big brother getting scolded? Because of me? Edna couldn't hold back her thoughts. She's so adorable. Of course not, sweetie. I was just saying what a good girl Marie is. The little girl wanted to be sure. Really? She immediately affirmed. Of course. Maxon seriously reminded her. Hey, you can't just barge in there like that? The boy standing at the door saw him. Your Majesty. He immediately scolded Maxon. Why are you being so disrespectful to your classmate? Maxon didn't know how to explain himself. I apologize, Your Majesty. Marie stated the obvious. Maxon is in big trouble. Edna just gently told the two of them, you two are not allowed to enter in the middle of a consultation. That concludes our session for today. The children running and completely ruined the atmosphere. The Knight Commander just got snubbed by his own little sister. Let's end the consultation here. It seems the children have been waiting too long. Anyway, she had something to discuss with him. Ah, Your Majesty, I have something I'd like to discuss with you in private. He turned to look at Edna. What is it? She thought to herself admiringly. He's so tall. You haven't started yet? No. The little girl pouted. The teacher must have had a hunch when she told us to go outside. Edna blushed beet red. Your Majesty, what was I even trying to say? Why is he getting so close? Your Majesty, wait. You're too close. In her confusion, she placed a hand on his chest. Edna was probably more shocked than he was, and completely ruined the atmosphere. The Knight Commander just got snubbed by his own little sister. Let's end the consultation here. It seems the children have been waiting too long. This is so old. This shelf looks like it's about to fall down. I'll call someone to fix it. He couldn't help but ask, is something wrong, teacher? Edna was speechless. It's nothing, Your Majesty. She felt she needed to bring something up. I'm a bit hesitant to mention this, but the issue I'd like to discuss is how we address each other. It's a little confusing, how we address each other. So, Edna wants the children to learn good habits from the adults. The most important factor in education is a proper relationship between the guardian and the teacher. To achieve that, please repeat after me now. Miss Teacher. He called out, Teacher. Edna wished he would just cooperate. It's not that hard, is it? He was determined not to listen. Teacher. She persisted until the end. Miss. Finally, he said it. Miss Teacher. Edna was overjoyed like a little kid. Very good. From now on, please call me that when we are at the kindergarten. She was learning from her work experience. And one more thing. This might be even more important. It's that when other people seem a bit guarded, you should take the first step. Formal address for both of us means that you can't speak informally in front of the children. He looked like he was choking on his words, but he agreed with Edna's method. I understand. She felt a bit more relieved. Now I can finally relax a little. But he had another reason. In that case, may I say what I was planning to? Edna nodded happily. Of course. He's surprisingly good at speaking formally. Then why was he being so stubborn earlier? He personally extended an invitation for her to visit the Imperial Palace. She wanted to know the specific time. Epna was overjoyed. The Imperial Palace? Me? He gave his reason. Just consider it a home visit. She thought it through carefully before responding. Is he asking me over to his place? How is this any different from the fantasy romance version of, "Want to come up for a cup of coffee?" It's an invitation from a guardian, so of course I can't meet a student's guardian privately, like this. He never expected to be turned down. This is the first time I've met a teacher who calls a home visit a private meeting. Epna was always willing to help. Is there any special reason why you need a home visit? He was surprised. A reason? Is that a question? His eyes held a deep, unspoken meaning. He brought his hand close to her face, his demeanor suddenly softening. Because I need to meet you alone. There are many things I want to find out. Besides, there are too many watchful eyes here. It's mainly about Maxon, of course, but I am also curious about many things concerning you, teacher. So it turns out he just wanted to help Epna. That's all. And also, you have a piece of scrap paper by your ear, Miss Teacher. She nodded over and over, embarrassed. Yes, thank you. He didn't forget to add a little tease. Then I'll assume you understand what I mean. If you'll excuse me, goodbye, Miss Teacher. She watched his back as he walked away. Why did he lean in so close? He wants to know about me? 5 years ago, the maids were chattering away. Have you heard the news? The purple-haired maid, holding a stack of items, said, I heard the master is bringing in Lady Lily soon. The brown-haired maid was also stunned about her being added to the family tree. But Lady Lily is the daughter of a concubine and has only been at the mansion for 1 month. Yet she knows all the petty details. But what does that even matter? Lady Lily has a talent. Something Lady Epna could never have in a million years. The brown-haired maid quickly tried to stop her. Hey, stop, don't say another word. But the purple-haired maid wouldn't listen. Someone from the Windy Sarrow family. To not have a talent? How absurd. It's not like I'm just being harsh. Whether you look at talent or anything else, Lady Lily is way better than her. Panicked when she realized Epna was already there. Oh my god, she asked quietly. What does it mean to carry the blood of Windy Sarrow anyway? The maid didn't dare to speak further. Lady Epna pressed her for an explanation. I'm asking because I really don't know what it means to have Windy Sarrow blood. I think I'm going to go crazy if I don't get an answer. The purple-haired maid shot back bluntly. What are you even talking about? You're so annoying. Please head inside, my lady. Epna thought she was disrespecting her. From the way you all speak, it's clear that even though I'm a lady, you treat me like a bone for a stray dog. But the purple-haired maid blamed it on the food. What's wrong with her? Did she eat something bad? She gave a cunning smile. Or is it because I don't have that talent you were all just talking about? I'm really stuck in a trashy web novel this time. Epna is mentally unshakable, but I have a pretty serious occupational hazard. I just can't let disrespectful kids slide. Now then, who wants to be the first to sit in the thinking chair? The Count Windy Star family is a special family. Everyone born with their blood has an outstanding talent. Someone with a sweet voice, someone with extraordinary physical abilities, someone with a knack for business. They all excel in many different fields. Even though the Count Windy Star family doesn't have a long history, thanks to these talents, they secured a place among the central aristocracy. But for the first time in the family's history, a child was born without any talent at all. Epna sat alone, in a shabby room. She had to face the harsh truth. That child is me, isn't it? Water dripped relentlessly from the ceiling. Epna cursed herself. Possessing this body was a huge mistake. I tried to piece together the original story's plot involving the Windy Sarrow family, but this is still before the main characters show up. And I am Epna Windy Sarrow. Useless, talentless, just a 17-year-old girl completely unrelated to the protagonists. All she could do was clench her fists. Lillian suddenly came to find Epna. Epna! There you are! I was looking everywhere for you. She introduced Lillian with admiration. This radiant child is my half-sister, Lillian. And then there are my 2 troublesome older brothers. Epna wasn't pleased, but forced a friendly tone. What's wrong, Lillian? She grabbed Epna's arm. Let's go eat together. Father said he's treating us to some delicious food. She was utterly surprised, huh? Why so suddenly? Epna remembered the past. Up until now, he's only ever given us dry, hard food. Lillian blushed shyly. Should we invite your fiancé, Marquis Virgil, to come along too? She told her the truth. Oh, he went back yesterday. To his territory. She was shocked by the news. What? Lillian finally seemed to understand. Oh, I see. Epna grew suspicious. Why do you look so? Why so disappointed? Her eldest brother defended Lillian without a second thought for Epna. Hey, you need to hide it better. Than that, did you really have to be so blunt? She was at a loss for words. He screamed in Epna's face. I was going to swallow my pride and bring you along, but you're really pissing me off. Epna clearly saw the injustice, but couldn't do anything about it. What is this nonsense? He's clearly taking his anger out on me for no reason, and no one is pointing it out? This is a disaster waiting to happen. She didn't think she was in the wrong. Why should I have to cover for my own fiancé? But her eldest brother shot back. What? He grabbed Epna by the collar. Are you crazy? You dare talk back to me? Epna's father arrived just in time to intervene. That's enough. Don't do this in front of the servants. She looked towards him. Father. Epna's father called out. Epna. She was always polite to her elders. Yes, father. Lamps hung suspended from the ceiling, and dripping water formed a puddle on the floor. Epna's cheeks stung, red from the slap. She couldn't understand. He slapped me over something so trivial? He belittled Epna in front of the whole family. If you have no talent, you should just live like someone who's dead, not like you. Lillian has revealed another talent. On her very first try at archery, she hit 6 out of 10 arrows. This proves Lillian shares the same talent as the first Countess Windus. Today's outing is precisely to celebrate that. On a day when everyone should be happy. How dare you ruin my daughter's mood? Epna was filled with resentment. I'm your daughter too, father. So what am I? Or, rather, what is Epna in your eyes? I should fight back. I should be angry, but my body refuses to move, as if it's been conditioned for a long time. Lillian linked arms with her father and smiled. Don't worry, father. I'm fine. Let's just let my sister rest. We should go now. I'm hungry. He nodded. All right, Lillian. Today you'll get whatever you want. After our meal, we'll go to the dress shop. Epna was always alone in this house. I'm lower than an insect. The trees grew under a patch of sunlight, and the wind rustled her hair. Epna liked the fresh air. At least no one would bother me here. Unlike my room, this place didn't smell musty or have a draft. If I were to break something, would I feel better? Should I try shooting just once? Without hesitating, she picked up the gun. Epna focused on hitting the target. A flock of birds scattered from their perch. The sound of the gunshot surprised her. The gun kicked back harder than I thought. Epna looked toward where she had shot. She couldn't believe her eyes. A direct hit, right on the bullseye. Was that just a lucky shot? But I do feel a little better. The gunshot was louder than I expected. If I get caught, I'll be beaten again. I need to get back quickly. A piece of paper was gently lifted by the wind, with some black smudges on. The back of the paper. Night fell. The sky a deep blue. The estate of Marquis Virgil. Epna put her pen down after finishing her notes. She let out a big yawn, feeling sleepy. Epna picked up the lamp and left the room. What's the date today? The 29th? Time flies. Bridal training during the day. And paperwork like this at night. Am I not just being treated like a maid? I'll just go get some fresh air. Oh, is this Hannes's room? A noise from inside caught her attention. Oh, come on, stop it. Don't. My lips will get chapped. Hanlis confessed his feelings. I'm sorry. You're so beautiful I couldn't hold back. Epna was unusually calm. That person was Hanlis, my fiancé, and the one with him was Lillian. Why? From outside she heard the conversation. Am I pretty? Really, even prettier than Epna. Why are Hannes and Lillian? He acted so indifferent. Epna, getting engaged to that gloomy woman was just an excuse to marry you, Lillian. EPNA didn't know how to describe her feelings. At all. Hannes whispered in Lillian's ear. My engagement to EPNA is just an excuse to marry you. She doesn't even care about her own honor. It's really hard to bear. I get jealous too, you know. He had always belittled Epna. Just think, the daughter of the main wife has no talent whatsoever. So pitiful and pathetic. At least she can do paperwork, she should just stick to that, because besides that, she has no other skills. Suddenly, the candlestick fell to the ground. EPNA, wearing a cloak outside, tried to run as fast as she could. I'm so dizzy, I feel like I'm going to throw up, but my stomach is empty. There's nothing to bring up. It hurts so much. How long have I endured this? A young man on horseback shouted, Miss, hey miss, move it! She sat in front of the horse's hooves as muck splattered all around. It splattered all over where EPNA had fallen. She woke with a start to find herself in bed. The maid didn't ask how she was, but instead scolded her. My goodness, you scared me to death. What happened, my lady? But since you're awake, let me just say this. Stop fainting all the time. It's such a hassle. Epna still couldn't grasp what was happening. Is this my room? I'm sure I was hit by a carriage. She wanted to confirm. Hey, what day is it today? But the maid just yelled at her. You can't even keep track of the date? Today is the 4th of the imperial calendar. Epna? Hanlis opened her door. The 4th? Did she just say it's the 4th, not the 29th? He dropped by to ask. Epna, are you okay? You suddenly fainted. I was so worried. She called his name, Hanlis. Epna was a little confused. Why are you? Day is it today? But the maid just yelled at her. You can't even keep track of the date? Today is the 4th of the imperial calendar. Here? Hannes recounted the events. What are you talking about? We just had a meal together today, didn't we? The 4th of the imperial calendar today. Then does that mean I've really returned to the time before I died? From soul possession to rewinding time, I've been through it all. I want to sort out my thoughts, but this guy just keeps rambling on. Epna directly kicked him out. Hannes, can you get out? You're too loud. Your voice is making me dumber by the second. Hannes didn't realize the seriousness of the situation. What? Dumber? You must still be in pain. I'll get going, see you later. She wanted to prove her theory. If this isn't a dream, then there's only one thing I need to do. Two maids were gossiping behind her back. Did you hear? Lady Epna has gone crazy again. It's so creepy. Can't she just live peacefully for once? Or what? Lily suddenly appeared. Don't you two have anything better to do? This startled the maids. My lady, I brought the papers for my father. Move, I need to talk to my father. The maid was determined to stop her. The Count is very busy. If you're just delivering documents, we can pass them along for you. Her gaze became resolute, but the two maids refused to budge. He had no choice but to show himself. What's all this ruckus? A maid stepped forward to explain. Count, the young lady, Epna deliberately. You have such impeccable timing, father. It saves me the trouble of having to go inside, Epna repeated. He saved her the trouble of going inside so she wouldn't waste his time looking for her. To be blunt, someone had called her name, Epna Hannes. He couldn't help but worry. What is this? A request to be removed from the family registry? You're only saying that because you're sick. Come on. You're not in your right mind. Let's go plead with the Count and get you some treatment, okay? Epna shoved his hand away without a second thought. Her reasoning was sharp. I'm more clear-headed than you are right now. Besides, grabbing someone's wrist without permission is sexual harassment, you know? Oh, that's right, I have something for you too. Epna had never harbored any feelings for him. For him, it's a letter to annul our engagement. I don't need a husband like you. This is my gift to you. Hanlis pretended to be utterly innocent. What is this? She pointedly reminded him. Just try reading it. It's the annulment letter. He intentionally played dumb. What? What does that mean? Epna didn't mind repeating it. Again. It means I want to call off this engagement. Lillian pretended to be worried about her. Sister, what in the world is happening? Epna beamed. Oh, my beautiful little sister is here? She was dying to pass Hanlis off to someone else. There, take him, Lillian, my position, and this fiancé too. Everything I'm tossing aside is a much better fit for you. Epna quickly left the scene. Two maids seized the chance to gossip. Lady Epna must have truly lost her mind. But why was her fiancé given to the other young lady? Haven't you heard the rumors? She's furious about it, but there's nothing she can do. Epna leaned against her bedroom door, perhaps feeling hurt from the lack of love. I did it. In any case, escaping this. Damn house is for the best. If I'd stayed here any longer, I really would have gone insane. Epna felt no attachment. I should at least pack my things, but there was no luggage at all, just this one notebook. She took the book out to look at it, and Epna read the entries within. The diary. Today I am certain that I am just like the first count, that I share that same talent. She couldn't help but wonder, if it's the talent of the first count, winks Sarah, then shouldn't Lily be the one who has it? Since waking up in this body, I haven't felt any special powers at all. Perhaps, if I keep reading, I'll find something. Out of curiosity, I shot the gun set up at the practice range, and all 20 shots hit the bullseye dead center. Epna continued. To read the rest of the text, I secretly played my father's violin, and I was able to replay a melody I had heard on the street that I had once heard. I wanted to learn, so I stole my older brother's textbook on the language of the Queeman Kingdom, and even though the writing was unfamiliar, I could soon read it. A talent for languages, a talent for business. Could it be that all of these things were talents that the original Epna possessed? Was that talent hers to begin with? And returning to the present, Epna smiled brightly. I'm going to work at the daycare. I became a member of the Viscount Belchester's family when I tremblingly ran away from my own. It was Viscount Belchester who appeared like a savior and adopted me, but because the family's finances were not well off, I went to work to help at the nearly bankrupt Roneidel daycare, but in her eyes, it was a wonderful place. But perhaps fortune carried me away like the wind. As magical engineering developed across the empire, intellect and craftsmanship became important. Even the nobility, who had once viewed learning and labor as disgraceful, began to throw themselves into their studies. The academy, which was once just a social hub for nobles, transformed into a genuine educational institution, and the daycare was responsible. Early childhood education also received great attention. 2 years later, a daycare craze spread throughout the empire, and at its center was EPNA. She turned to see who was calling her. Epna! Viscountess Belchester looked apologetic for bothering her. I'm sorry to stop you on your way to work, but could you possibly attend the charity masquerade ball tonight? She was still quite worried. I can go, but I'm afraid someone will recognize me. The lady understood Epna's situation. Yes, you have a point. If you're uncomfortable, please don't worry, although it is a masquerade ball. She quickly agreed. Then it's no problem at all. I'll go to the masquerade ball. Epna always remembered her debts. Perhaps it's because I owe Viscount Belchester so much. I really can't refuse. It looks like I'll have to work overtime after my shift. What a pain. When I get home, I still have to organize today's report and this month's event schedule. Daniel yelled loudly, Hey, if you step on someone's foot, you should apologize. Epna peeked in to see what was going on. Children's voices. Bantander denied it. No, I didn't step on you. The kid refused to believe him. Don't you talk back to me. She watched the children's interaction closely, and several of them were bullying a smaller child. Daniel was being arrogant as usual. Hey, you don't know who I am? The boy answered boldly. No. The kid was about to hit Bantander. You little punk, you dare to talk back to me. Epna sensed the danger. Oh no, at this rate they're really going to start fighting. She put her glass down and walked toward the group of kids. A kind blonde woman warned her, it's best if you don't interfere. But EPNA didn't understand, huh? She didn't dare to move. Just stand still like everyone else. All 3 of those kids are from central noble families. It's a shame about the kid being bullied, but no one can do anything. Nothing escaped her notice. Central nobles, they only look about 8 years old. The blonde woman advised Epna to just keep quiet. Her feet moved forward on their own. She couldn't suppress her anger. You little troublemakers, stop that right now. Hajun didn't recognize the teacher. Who are you? Daniel just kept repeating the same line. Don't you know who we are? The guests had mixed reactions to Epna's actions. Oh my, she's got some real guts. That's not bravery. It's more like stupidity. That kid has really been spoiled rotten. My father is Marquis Gopin, you know? I'm going to tell him everything. Epna challenged Daniel. Go ahead. She threw her mask to the ground, unable to tolerate it for another second. Go on and tell him, Daniel. It's about time I paid him a visit anyway. Only then did the boy get scared, Miss EPNA. Epna was stern as she lectured her student. The lady's eyes widened in realization. Teacher Epna? You mean she's that famous teacher from the Roneidel daycare? The one who's so amazing with children? She spoke up to correct her student's behavior. Daniel, Han-chun, Reaper, did you not learn how to greet your teacher properly? And ganging up to bully someone else? Is that what I taught you? Epna deliberately teased them. Oh dear. Why are you all trembling? Is it that scary to be scolded for the first time in a while? You little brats, you should know better than this. A voice drew her attention. Bantander? Huh? Caden had appeared at the masquerade party. Bantander ran to his relative. Big brother. He gently asked Bantander, "What's the matter?" Bantander was speechless. "Big brother, it's just..." Epna stared at the handsome Caden. "Big brother? That man is his older brother, and he has such an overwhelming presence. Look." All those gossiping nobles went completely silent. The little boy explained to his brother, "We got into a fight." Caden was taken aback. "A fight?" She spoke up to reassure the parent. "Hello, I'm the children's teacher. It wasn't a big brawl, and their parents should be here soon." He deliberately snarked, "Are they crawling their way here?" Emna convinced herself, "No, they're human, so I assume they'll walk." She was professional in handling these kinds of school situations, and this wasn't a fight. It was one-sided bullying. As their teacher, I sincerely apologized to the 3 students Emna called out, Daniel, Hachel, and Raibo. They all acted obediently. "Yes, ma'am." She pointed out their error. "Bullying can't be called a simple mistake. This was entirely your fault." "Oh look, your parents are here. It seems you know who Elias is. He's the Marquis Elias Gopin." The man couldn't hide his shock. "Did you just say Marquis Gopin?" Caden spoke cryptically. "Gopin, you pathetic fool. You can't even control your own child. That's what I should be saying, right, Elias?" As if his nerve had been struck. "What did you just say?" The man flew into a rage. "Are you insane? Do you have any idea who I am to speak to me that way?" He didn't hesitate to step up and protect his little brother. "That's enough. I heard your son started trouble with my little brother. Doesn't the House of Gopin teach that picking a fight you can't win is foolish?" Caden removed his mask, leaving Elias stunned into silence as the guests began to whisper. "That man is..." He couldn't utter a single word. So he was the noble Duke Caden Hinderborn. Elliot wished the ground would swallow him whole. "I am so terribly sorry, Your Grace." Emna stood back, enjoying the show. "Oh my goodness, is the arrogant Marquis Gopin actually bowing his head? It's true, a duke's status far surpasses a marquis, but Hindarbon. Why does that sound so familiar? Hindarbon? She paused for a few seconds. "Wait a minute, don't tell me that's..." "The Grand Duchy of Hindarbon." Emna suddenly recalled Caden's words. "Are you an idiot? Everyone lives until they die." He pointed a gun at the female lead, his voice cold as he said, "Begging to be killed would be more effective, for your own sake. Your face is irritating, so much so that it's tiresome." Emna thought with a sigh. This is what the readers of the original novel called Ban Thunder, the prince. The little boy in the blue vest suddenly tugged on the young man's arm and said, "Big brother, I'm so hungry." Looking at Ban Thunder's innocent eyes, suddenly in Emna's mind, a phrase appeared, "The Prince of Terror." Is that adorable child really Ban Thunder? Just what in the world happened to him as he grew up? At that moment, a little girl fell down nearby. Ban Thunder saw her and said, "Big brother, someone fell over there." Caden stood with his arms crossed and asked coldly, "So what?" Ban Thunder asked, "Shouldn't we help her?" His brother said in a stern voice, "That's not something for you to worry about." At that moment, Emna understood. "I think I know who he learned that from." She pulled herself together, then walked up to Caden and said sternly, "May I add a few words?" He asked curtly. "What is it? Spit it out." Emna thought to herself, the intimidating aura he's giving off is no joke. "But I still have to say what needs to be said." She replied slowly, "You shouldn't leave the child alone, especially at times like this. A child his age is easily drawn to stimulating sights and attention. You must be especially careful." The others who heard this began to whisper, "Did she really just nag the Duke?" "Yes, and for more than 5 lines straight." One person even worried, "Is that teacher going to be okay?" After Epna finished speaking, she waited in silence, while Caden was deep in thought. For a moment, the atmosphere suddenly froze, but Epna's eyes met his without any fear. A moment later, Caden let out a slight smile, and he cheerfully replied, "I will be careful, teacher." The next day at the aristocratic preschool, Epna sighed with regret. "Sigh, I wish I had talked to him more. I was too hesitant." She looked out the window, thinking to herself, "I shouldn't just leave the original villain, Ban Thunder, like that." As Epna was lamenting, someone holding a book entered the room. "Teacher Epna, are you here? Please take a look at this." Epna asked in surprise. "A book?" The girl replied, "Yes, I found it while cleaning the library. It's written in an ancient language, so I can't read it, and I was wondering if you knew anything about it, Miss Epna?" She took the book and looked at it intently. "Let me see." When Epna opened the book, she was a bit surprised. "This isn't an ancient language, this is Korean. It'll probably take more time to study it." Epna asked her colleague, "Could I borrow this book?" The girl smiled and replied, "Sure, just bring it back before the teacher's meeting." After that, Epna grabbed the book and dashed back to her room, her mind racing with questions. Korean? This was in our library? Why does something like this even exist in this world? She locked the door carefully and started to study the book. What kind of book is this? The first page read, "Emna Belchester is a villainess." A chill suddenly ran down her spine. Did I read that wrong? Then, she read it again carefully. Emna Belchester is a villainess that no one in this world wants to get involved with. Epna was terrified, a jolt running through her. I repeat, Emna Belchester is the most wicked woman in the world. She's always saying she'll kill the saintess. Epna was completely baffled. Kill the saintess? Why would I do that? I'm already swamped with work. She flipped to the next page. In the end, the villainess's neck is placed on the guillotine. Everyone gathered to witness her final moment. Her crime was using black magic, which is strictly forbidden in the Empire. Emna Belchester was sentenced to death. Furthermore, the royal knights will be dispatched to Duke Hindarbon, the one who colluded with her. Reading this, Epna suddenly froze. "Wait, hold on!" she exclaimed in utter shock. "A death sentence. For me?" And for using black magic? And the Grand Duchy of Hindarban too? As she read on, it finally dawned on Epna. I remember now, the reason Ban Tander became corrupted. The next day at the Hindarban estate, with a bold idea in mind, Epna pushed a folder of documents in front of Caden, saying, Lord Hindarban, I would like to discuss something with you. I want to recommend enrolling Ban Tander in Roneidel preschool. Your Grace, Caden Hindarban, the Grand Duke, I ask you to please consider it favorably. He picked up the paper and looked it over. A preschool? Epna looked at him with hopeful eyes. Please let him enroll, sir, because I have to stop your brother from becoming the main villain, and prevent his fall, which starts with your death. However, Caden bluntly replied, I refuse. Epna let out a, huh, slightly taken aback, but then she sat down in a chair, and began to persuade him. Our preschool is a professional educational facility. It will certainly be a great benefit to Ban Thunder, Caden. Of course, if it were about specialized tutoring, he would have already received it. No, I have to intervene somehow, Epna thought. She emphasized the importance of the boy broadening his perspective by being with children his own age. Developing social skills is fundamental to a child's growth. Hearing these words, Caden fell into deep thought. Epna rejoiced internally. He's reacting. What could be more important than a child learning to make friends? He suddenly sighed and unbuttoned his top button. Seeing this, Epna grew anxious. What's this? Why are you suddenly unbuttoning your shirt? Her voice was a bit strained because of it. So, could you please look over the file one more time? If Ban Thunder is accepted, he'll be placed in my class. Caden suddenly said. The problem is that Ban Thunder is my half-brother. I'm worried he'll be ostracized for being an illegitimate child. She smiled and replied, You don't need to worry about that. Please take a look at the last page of the file. He flipped to the last page and asked in surprise, What is this, Miss Epna? She said excitedly, The children in my class wrote welcome letters for Ban Thunder. Caden's gaze paused for a moment, then replied, I see, but. He held the paper, which was covered in scribbles, up in front of her, and asked, Miss Epna, has Ban Thunder's name been changed to Batman without my knowledge? Epna froze for a second, then chuckled. Pardon? Even so, Caden still found the letter quite impressive. He's only read up to Dear Batman, Epna thought to herself. She smiled warmly and said, We're having our spring field trip soon. It would be a good experience for Ban Thunder. He mumbled again. Isn't that Park 10, not Ban Thunder? Hearing this, she sighed internally. Oh, for heaven's sake. So petty. Epna changed the subject. I heard some recent news about the duchy. They say that you are making efforts to educate the people in your territory. Caden smiled, slightly pleased. You really keep up with the news. Indeed. Seeing his expression, Epna felt a little scared. Why is his smile so intimidating? He looks like he's about to explode. Seeing his chest rise and fall under his shirt, her mind went into turmoil. So scary, please. Spare me. Epna switched to the main point. Our kindergarten is the Empire's first official early education institution. The Empire is also currently investing in early education, regardless of status. Caden found this a bit interesting. He rested his chin on his hand and mused. You're even interested in the affairs of other territories? What are you really trying to say? Epna replied confidently. You have to keep up with the trends. To build a good educational facility in the duchy, you need to understand kindergartens. It will serve as an excellent reference for educating your people. Hearing this, he burst out laughing. A reference, huh? You really are confident. Please continue with your explanation about enrollment. Doesn't this mean he's agreed? Epna's face lit up, and she said with a radiant smile, Yes, sir. Scene change. Today is Ban Thunder's first day at the new kindergarten. He stood at the door and introduced himself. I'm Ban Thunder Hindarban. Hello. Marilyn slid off her chair and cheerfully called out, Park 10. It's Park 10, Epna corrected. No, Marilyn, Ban Thunder explained. It's not Park 10, it's Bonte. The moment he said it, he knew something was wrong. That's not it either, is it? The little boy corrected himself. No, my name is Bantat. Epna was truly at a loss for words. Even he can't say his own name correctly. The other children waved and called out, Bantat, sit next to me. No, sit next to me, the teacher then said. Bantander sang, Go sit next to Maxon over there. And everyone, it's story time. Epna went to the podium and opened a book. Today we're going to read the story of the Arithmetic Knight. She suddenly gasped. On the stack of papers was an envelope. A letter from the royal palace. So the location for the field trip has finally been changed. The principal had said the field trip would take place at the royal palace. Alpha was completely surprised. What? But we've already scouted the location and planned everything we were supposed to. Go to the park. She pushed her glasses up and said, But the royal palace took the initiative to send an invitation first. We can't refuse their courtesy, she asked again. So that means we'll have to redo the entire survey and the plans. Hearing this, a kindergarten teacher exclaimed, Oh goodness, I just remembered. My house is scheduled to burn down today, so I can't work overtime. Another person said, The sea termite living in my house is sick. Epna forced a laugh. Ha ha ha, everyone seems so busy, I guess I'll just go. And so while the others were enjoying a luxurious break, Epna had to hike up her skirt and go to the royal palace. She grumbled, more extra work. And why is the royal palace so freaking far away? This world doesn't even have taxis. As she was walking, Epna suddenly stopped in her tracks. She heard a voice coming from across the way. The Hinpin Temple? So, it's 57 Fia for the trip? The young man replied with a smile. Is that so? Then on the way to the Hinpin Temple, I'll be in your care. Epna leaned over to get a better look and quickly recognized the person. It was Marin's older brother, Knight Commander Johann. She could tell at a glance that the coachman, despite his bright smile, was ripping someone off. That much just to get to the temple? Epna walked over and cut in. How about 47 Faya? The coachman sputtered. What? Johann exclaimed in surprise. Teacher Epna? She replied warmly. Hello, Commander. What a coincidence meeting you here. Then she turned to the coachman and asked, Are you really charging 57 Fia just for a trip to the temple? He snapped back. Yeah, what about it? She covered her mouth, her body shaking with laughter. Oh my, ahem, I just can't keep a straight face. I apologize, it's just that I get so angry whenever I see someone getting so blatantly ripped off. His face darkened as he snarled. Ripped off? What did you say? This little miss is asking for trouble. Johann looked surprised too. Getting ripped off? Epna planted her hands on her hips and shouted, Look here. How could you rip off an innocent person like this? The coachman retorted. Hey, for that distance, this price is cheap. She crossed her arms, her voice firm, and replied, I'm a local here. Who do you think you're fooling? Cut the crap, it's 47 Faya. He pointed a finger in her face and yelled, 47 Fia? That's not even enough to buy food for my horse. Epna was still very resolute, only 47 Faya. Realizing he'd run into a savvy customer, the coachman backed down, tisk, fif, tie 5 Faya. But the young woman insisted on only 47 Faya. After that, he lowered the price to 53 Faya, then 50 Faya. Epna still just said 47 Fia. The coachman yelled, Miss, isn't this unreasonable? How can you not budge from 47 Fia? At all? Epna delivered the final blow, 47 Faya. If you keep being stubborn, I'll just get another carriage for 45 Faya. Johann suddenly leaned in and whispered, Teacher, 10 piece isn't a lot of money. You don't have to. The girl exclaimed, With that money you could buy Marin 3 of her favorite lollipops. The coachman finally had to give in. All right, you're one tough young lady, Epna said smugly. You should have agreed sooner. She turned to Johann with a beaming smile and said, He'll go for 47 pice. He replied, Thank you, teacher. You've saved Marilyn's 3 lollipops. He got into the carriage and then suddenly asked, By the way, where are you headed? Epna replied, I have some business at the Imperial Palace. Johann peeked his head out the door. Then let's go together, shall we? He held his hand out to her and said kindly, Shall we go? The carriage quickly departed. Epna sat in the carriage thinking to herself, Carriages are so uncomfortable, I hate them, perhaps because of the memory of being beaten in my past life. But it's still bearable. Suddenly, Johann spoke up, Teacher, are you all right? Epna replied with a start, Huh? Yes, I'm fine. It seemed he had also noticed something was wrong, looking at Epna's tightly clenched and tense hand. He smiled and said, Teacher, breathe in deeply for 3 seconds and then exhale slowly for 7 seconds. She looked at him, a little surprised, letting out a soft huh. Johann said, If you get bad motion sickness, try to calm down. I'll count the seconds for you. Epna closed her eyes and did as he said. All right, let's start. 1, 2, 3. Now breathe out. Epna exhaled with a whoosh, thinking to herself, I feel a little better. She smiled and said, Thank you, sir. I feel much better now. Johann seemed very excited. It worked, right? When Marin gets motion sickness, I usually help her like this. I'm so glad this method also works for you. Epna thought to herself, Johann, he's a rather thoughtful person. Come to think of it, as the captain of the knights, he must understand the saintess better than anyone. She suddenly asked, Oh, I heard the news. Has a new saintess been chosen? He immediately replied, Yes, about 4 months now. Epna's eyes lit up, and she exclaimed, I see. What kind of person is the saintess? In her heart, she thought, because she's the person that I tried to kill in my past life. So I have to know. I need to flatter him this much so I'm not seen as plotting to assassinate the saintess. Epna said sweetly, She must be extremely kind and beautiful, right? Johann rested his chin on his hand and hummed. He recounted, She treats everyone well and smiles often, and she's also quite the romantic. Epna exclaimed, Oh, just as I thought. She's wonderful. The work of a saintess must be very difficult. How admirable. Suddenly the carriage wheel hit a rock, causing the carriage to jolt violently. Epna, who was chattering away, suddenly froze. She felt dizzy and nauseous, then hunched over. Seeing this, Johann called out, Teacher! Epna was panting heavily, her face pale, letting out a groan. On the verge of throwing up, tears welled in her eyes. Ugh, this is truly unbearable. Johann called, Teacher? Teacher? Epna didn't answer him. Johann knelt on the floor, reached out to touch her cheek, and asked, Teacher, are you okay? Epna stammered in reply, I'm sorry, I get motion sickness. She felt dizzy and nauseous, then hunched over. Seeing this, Johann called out, Teacher! Epna was panting heavily, her face pale, letting out a groan. On rides that are a little rough, the carriage jolted again, and she slumped over, crying out, Ah! Breathe in, breathe out. Johann looked at her with a truly tender gaze, constantly saying, Breathe in. Suddenly, Epna grabbed his hand and unconsciously sniffed it. Johann froze, but then he turned his face away. It seemed a very strange feeling stirred within him. He just sat there quietly for a long time as Epna slumped over. She gripped his hand tightly. A while later, the carriage stopped, and the driver called out loudly, Hey, we've arrived at the royal palace. Time to get out. Epna looked out the door, then glanced at Johann and stammered, We're here, we've arrived, thank you, Sir Knight. Just then, Epna realized her hand was still gripping his tightly. She hurriedly stepped out of the carriage, repeatedly bowing, and said, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. That was so rude of me. I apologize. I was impolite. Johan smiled and said, It's all right. Don't worry about it, teacher. Teacher, don't you have business at the palace? I'm really fine. You should go on in. Epna replied. Yes, if your hand gets injured, please let me know. Johan laughed and replied, Of course. I'll even charge you interest. She watched as the carriage disappeared, down the road. Suddenly, a voice called out from behind her, Teacher Epna, you've arrived. A young man with a scholarly appearance approached and introduced himself. I am Count Super, and I will be guiding you for the inspection. Epna bowed politely and said, Ah, hello, sir. Thank you for working so hard, even on your day off. The Count replied, Not at all. You've also worked very hard. The two of them quickly entered the royal palace. Epna suggested to her guide, Could we see the rest area first? It's the most important thing for the children. The Count said cheerfully, Of course, follow me. The attached garden has no high steps or sharp decorations, so it will be ideal for the little ones. Epna looked around and said, Oh, we'll just need to clear away a few of these stones. Super explained further, Inside, there's also a greenhouse with many rare plants, which is excellent for their studies. She exclaimed, That's wonderful. The scenery is truly unique. Epna asked, May I take a little more time to look around? He immediately agreed. Yes, my duty was only to guide you here. Please take this permit and feel free to look around. Epna took the permit and said, Congratulations on completing your duty. Super hesitated and replied, No, I still have other things to do. Epna went, You're such a busy person. She slowly walked into the garden, which was filled with countless fragrant flowers and exotic plants. Epna looked at the paper and said, This is the detached palace. It's usually used for social gatherings, right? So this permit only allows me to come this far. There's a fountain on the other side. Fountains can be dangerous, so I'll have to keep the children away from it. But the kids would probably love to see it. As she was walking, she suddenly heard someone call her name. Epna. She jumped and turned around. From behind, someone was approaching. She was very surprised, her lips softly murmuring, Sir. The person approaching was Hanli's vision, Epna's former fiancé. At the same time, in a dark room, a dim light was glowing faintly. Johan murmured softly, Emna Belchester, Emna Belchester. At his feet, a man was lying sprawled out, whispering weakly, Please spare me. Johan asked in a stern voice, Where is the saintess? The man replied, She went out. He mused. Around. From behind, someone was approaching. She was very surprised, her lips softly murmuring, Here? The man, battered and bruised, tried to explain, I really don't know anything, please. Johan rested his chin on his hand, closed his eyes and ordered, Drag him away and deal with him. The young man screamed, Please, spare me, spare me. He felt a bit dejected, seeing nothing but trash like this every day. Johan looked at the palm of his hand, a strange feeling suddenly washing over him. This feeling, it's making me all tingly. Meanwhile, back in the flower garden, the unexpected encounter between Epna and Hanlis left her feeling flustered. She told herself, Don't panic, Epna, he exclaimed in surprise. What's with that face? So, Epna, is it really you? She looked up, thinking to herself, They said the Marquis's house was in trouble. Away and deal with him. The young man screamed, Please, spare me, spare me. He felt a bit dejected, seeing nothing but trash like this every day. Johan, Hannes was a bit confused. Stupid. More importantly, where have you been all this time? Do you know I've been looking for you for the past 5 years? She immediately stopped him. Again, that's enough. Don't come any closer, Hannes shouted angrily. How can you be so calm after running away from home like that? But then, he suddenly softened his tone. Ha, whatever. Let's go home. Go apologize to the Count. Today, Epna calmed herself. Calm down, Epna. Count to 3 and run. Look at that bastard's eyes. He's about to do something. Hannes was still rambling on nonstop. Epna lifted her dress, counting 1, 2. Seeing her turn, Hannes asked, Where are you going, Epna? But just as she was about to run, someone blocked her way. Oh my, Sister Epna. This girl was Lillian, her paternal half-sister, with a different mother than Epna. Seeing her older sister, she asked cheerfully, How have you been? Epna replied softly, Yeah, long time no see, Lai, but just a second later. Lai walked right past her to Hannes' side, So you were here. Epna felt a bit awkward, she just totally ignored me. Lily held Hannes' hand and said coquettishly, I went through all the trouble of leaving the temple to see you, and you just left without a word. Hearing the word temple, Epna was extremely shocked. She thought to herself, Now that I think about it, that dress and that crest, why is she wearing the temple's attire? Lillian said with a cheerful laugh. I've been busy during the Saintess's purification period. Epna understood that the Saintess's purification period is an adaptation phase for the new Saintess, so could it be, right now? Lillian then turned back to her and said, Oh, Sister Epna, you're still here? It seems you didn't know. I've been chosen as the new Saintess. It's such an honor. Epna uttered. I see. Congratulations. Her mind was in turmoil. Wait, if Lily is the Saintess, then in the original story, did Epna try to kill her half-sister? My mind is a complete mess. I need to sort this out. Suddenly, Hannes yelled, Move, Lillian! He pushed the girl aside and grabbed Epna's shoulders, then repeatedly questioned her. Do you have any idea how miserable I was after you disappeared? She yelled, Let go of me! He continued to scold her. Don't you think you're too reckless and irresponsible? Just with the family business you were in charge of? Was enough. She loudly accused him. This is harassment. Do you want to be tried before the noble's court? Hannes sneered. Harassment? I'm your fiancé, Epna. You think that counts? Suddenly, a stern voice rang out, "It does count." A firm hand grabbed Hannes's and pulled it away. "Especially since you two have broken up," he stammered. "Your Majesty, the Emperor," said in a cold voice. "Marquis Vitran, you seem quite refreshed after dozing off through the entire Noble Council meeting, just to show off. Your strength like this?" Hannes couldn't break free from the Emperor's firm grip. Hannes whimpered, "Your Majesty, why are you here? Oh God, that hurts." He suddenly turned to Lillian and said, "Although at this time, the Saintess should be at her busiest, you seem rather free. Is the temple being managed so chaotically?" The girl immediately bowed her head and said, "Please forgive our impudence, Your Majesty. We only acted this way because we just reunited with our precious sister." Hearing this, he uttered, "Precious, you say?" The Emperor looked at Epna, saying, "I am also a precious existence to him. What is with this guy?" Epna's heart was in turmoil, an emperor treasuring me. This is truly the worst-case scenario for a kindergarten teacher. He tossed Han-Lise aside and said, "Just to see her, I had to beg and pathetically make arrangements." Han-Lise, flattened on the ground, wailed loudly, "Your Majesty, first of all, I have business with Epna. I'm taking Epna with me." The Emperor asked back, "Really, Marquis of Dust?" He put his hands on his hips and ordered him, "Then say it clearly. Speak up," Han-Lise said resentfully. "Epna was with me first." He pretended not to hear. "What was that? Your voice is too quiet, I can't hear." "A thing." He looked at him with a sharp glare, hissing once more. "What did you say?" Han-Lise suddenly felt a chill down his spine. His mouth tried to stammer out, "Epna. She is." But when he looked into the Emperor's seemingly murderous eyes, he lost all his courage and immediately, "A thing." He looked at him with a sharp glare, hissing once more. "What did you say?" Han-Lise suddenly felt a chill down his spine. His mouth tried to stammer out, "Epna." Stopped. Never mind, nothing." Not smiled triumphantly. He turned to Epna and said, "I'm glad it was nothing." Then, Not gently replied, "Isn't that right? The thing we promised to do together?" Epna broke out in a cold sweat. "What did we promise to do together?" After thinking for a moment, she suddenly exclaimed, "Ah, that's right, to visit your house," he said in a slightly reproachful tone. "Did you forget? That's so sad." Epna tactfully declined. "But I really should be heading back now," he exclaimed. "Is that so?" He gently rubbed his chin and looked regretful. "The sun is still so high and bright, and yet you say you have to go." Hearing this, Epna thought to herself, "Does he expect me to waste the precious weekend? Sunlight here?" Not asked once more, "Do you really have to go?" Epna suddenly burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha. No, I'm actually very happy that I can keep our appointment." He felt extremely excited, hearing that laughter. It seemed she was genuinely happy. Epna put on a refreshed expression. "Ha ha, that's right, of course. Absolutely right." Han-Lise saw this and went ballistic. He threatened, "If you keep acting like this, I'll have no choice but to tell Count Belchester." Epna put her hands on her hips, glaring at him defiantly. "Then go ahead, tell." "My father!" Han-Lise didn't think she had that much nerve. He let out a huh and stood frozen like a log. Epna scolded him to his face. "Go on, run and tell the Count. You think I'm going to help you save your collapsing family fortune? After that?" She turned her back and left with the Emperor, leaving Han-Lise to stand there and call out resentfully, "Epna, you!" Epna said in a low voice, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Not was eager. "Let's go right now." Han-Lise quickly ran to hide behind Lillian, shouting loudly, "Where do you think you're taking her?" Just then Epna suddenly remembered. "Oh, that's right, Lillian." She turned back and said, "Congratulations on becoming the Saintess. I truly mean it. Give my blessing to Han-Lise. He looks like he needs it more." Lillian smiled and replied, "Yes, sister." He suddenly flinched. He said, "The cold air here is unbearable. Let's go to the greenhouse." Epna teased, "You seem more eager than you let on, Your Majesty." A small flower petal fell right at the Saintess's feet, and she immediately stepped on it, crushing it underfoot. The saintly and pure look vanished from Lillian's face. She said in a cold voice, "Epna, do you think you can treat me like that and just leave?" The scene changes to an afternoon tea setting. He walked up to Epna and started a conversation. "This place is peace. Beautiful, isn't it?" She replied politely, "Yes, it's truly very beautiful." He leaned down, dropping a subtle flirtatious line. "They say that if lovers..." Hearing that love here lasts a lifetime, Emna could only laugh and change the subject. "Haha, I see. Thank you for helping me earlier." She then asked caringly if he found it inconvenient when the tour location was changed so suddenly. He didn't mince words, immediately saying bluntly, "Of course it's inconvenient. I even have to work overtime." He completely ignored that, saying, "I'm just grateful that you agreed right away." A wave of anger rose up, but Epna had to endure it. "If you were going to say that, you shouldn't have asked in the first place." She forced a strained smile, her words dripping with sarcasm. "I volunteered, you know. I can't sleep, can't eat. I only work. But so what? For a pitifully weak body like mine, being exhausted is an honor." He stared blankly for a moment, completely missing her sarcasm, wondering if she was just brave, or just had a lot of guts. "Make sure to take care of that big swollen liver of yours." Epna asked curiously, "Is there another reason you gave up the Imperial Palace?" He sat down decisively. "Yes, a very important reason." Recalling a sad story from his past, Not began. Around this time 2 years ago, Maxon Sweet was assassinated. His carriage was passing by Aquilon Lake Park. Hearing this, Epna turned pale. That lake park was their original tour destination. He spoke lightly, so what do you think? At that time, I must have flown into a terrible rage. She stammered in fear. 2 years ago, Maxon was only 3 years old. Even I feel angry, let alone you. Seeing her reaction, he immediately burst out laughing. You can call it selfish, but I still changed the location without telling you, so at least let me give you a chance to hit me. Then he pointed to his cheek. Here. She was still bewildered, but then Emna enthusiastically agreed. With an open palm or a fist? His face froze, not expecting her to actually agree. He couldn't help but burst out laughing. Ha ha ha! He laughed uncontrollably. Pfft, ha ha ha. She grew quite impatient watching him laugh at her. I'm asking seriously. Fine, I'll let it go this one time, since I'm a peace-loving person, but in exchange, can I hear more? About Maxon? He finally stopped laughing, wiping a tear from the corner of his eye. Haha, all right. Then, let's continue. Emna thought irritably, why is he laughing so hard he's crying? Then she continued. The topic. Quite a few people don't look kindly on Maxon, because he isn't the emperor's son, but rather his younger brother, who is occupying the position of prince. To the nobles who covet the empress's throne, a symbol of power, the boy must be an unwelcome presence. After hearing Epna's reasoning, he immediately praised her. You really are a first-class kindergarten teacher. That's spot on. She suddenly understood that life wasn't easy for either of them. You and Maxon must have gone through a lot. Hearing that, he started teasing her. What do you think? Do you feel a little pity for me? Not one to be outdone, Emna retorted. I only pity things that are inherently weak and cute. He just laughed it off, haha. He crossed his legs, a look of overwhelming confidence on his face as he said, haha, don't underestimate me. For an emperor who's tormented day and night by lurking rats, lending out a corner of the counseling room is nothing. Emna asked. A counseling room? What do you plan to do there? He was blunt, to express his intentions. Was he worried about the future of the empire, the stability of the people, or perhaps thinking about the safety of those rats? She was completely speechless at that prospect. Talking about rats in a kindergarten is rather grim. If you come, I'll at least offer you a cup of tea, as long as you have the director's permission. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, a bright smile lighting up his face. I won't forget that promise. The scene shifts to the first stop on the tour, the children's eyes sparkling with excitement. Edna instructed, all right everyone, no pushing, just walk in a line, she cheerfully announced to the children. From now on we'll be visiting the greenhouse. The children cheered in unison. Okay, Edna thought about the long day ahead and couldn't help but feel drained. We've only just reached the first stop. It's such a long day. I have to keep checking if anyone has wandered off or dropped something. My face hurts from forcing all these expressions. She quickly pulled herself together. Everyone, line up in 2. Neat rows and head inside. Mary's eyes went wide and her jaw dropped in excitement. Whoa, it's so beautiful. That flower is huge. Look, butterflies. There are butterflies too. Edna led the children through the tour. The plants are so beautiful and magical, aren't they? What should we do with these little friends here? The good little kids remembered her lesson. Don't hurt them. Just look, Edna reminded. Them. That's right, the flowers will get hurt too if you touch them. She was all smiles on the outside, but internally she was struggling. I wish the kids' actions were as good as their words. First, Marilyn was rolling around in a mud puddle while playing. Ah, I'm covered in mud. Then Maxon fell into a pond while arguing with Marilyn. Wah, what is this? I'm all wet. And then there was Band-Aid, who ate so much chocolate his mouth was a mess. Edna felt helpless, not knowing how to manage them all. Even with 1,000 hands, it wouldn't be enough. She changed Marilyn's clothes. Let's get you into your spare clothes. Then dried off Maxon. Let's dry you off with a soft, fluffy towel. Then came wiping Band-Aid's mouth. Let's get your mouth all clean. Finally, Edna finally got a break. Ha, it's finally lunchtime. After I make sure the kids finish eating, I'll try to grab a quick bite to eat. Suddenly, Maxon's voice called out, Miss Edna. Edna quickly responded, Yes, Maxon, what is it? The little boy hesitated. Marilyn's gone. In a flash of panic, her eyes shot wide open. What? Then Maxon slowly explained what happened. She said she was going to get water from her bag, but she never came back. I can't find her anywhere. Edna completely froze, her face drained of all color, unable to react. Marilyn? It was still quiet outside. Super was taking a leisurely stroll nearby when Edna called out in a panic, Viscount Super. Not understanding what was going on, he greeted her first. Oh, Miss Edna, isn't today your field trip? She stopped right in front of the Viscount. Losing her composure, Edna grabbed Super's shoulders. Can we get help from the Royal Knights? He asked worriedly. What on earth happened? Her face was ashen as she delivered the news. A child is missing. After hearing that, Super jumped in shock. What? I'll call them right away. Afterwards, Edna ran around frantically searching for the little girl. Marilyn! Marilyn! Answer if you can hear me! It's your teacher. But the more she searched, the more she panicked. Where could you have gone in such a short amount of time? Are there dangerous plants in this greenhouse? Edna froze, her gaze fixed on Marilyn's shoe. Was floating in the lake. The shoe just drifted along as if carrying her very soul with it. Marin, no, no! Edna hiked up her skirt, getting ready to jump in. Marin, are you in there? Marin! Just as she lunged toward the lake, a strong arm suddenly grabbed her firmly, yanking her back. It was Johann. He held Edna tightly. Stop it, Miss Edna. She stubbornly tried to jump in. Let me go! Over there, Marin is! Seeing Edna in this state, Johann yelled. at her. Teacher, calm down, teacher. Only then did Epna realize who was in front of her. The knight. Her heart pounded, and she immediately pleaded with him. I think Maren fell into the water. We have to save her now. Johann called out, Teacher, please take a closer look. Teacher, that's just... It turned out that in her panic, Epna had mistaken a leaf for Maren's shoe. A leaf. She was stunned. A leaf? I can't believe I lost my mind like that. I must be so... ashamed. Epna slumped to the ground, without even checking properly. Her face flushed bright red. I'm truly sorry. I should have paid more attention. I will take full responsibility for making sure Maren gets home safely. Johann crouched down and looked at Epna silently for a moment. Then, he gently made a suggestion, his voice as if carrying warmth. To comfort her. Let's search together, teacher. I know this may be impolite, but a moment ago, you looked just like an abandoned child at the water's edge. Epna Saint. Ammered. In that case, I'll be counting on you, Sir Knight. She pressed her lips together, trying to calm herself, even though he must be more panicked than anyone, yet he's so calm. I need to pull myself together too. There's no more time. Suddenly, a scent made Epna jolt. Huh. This smell? Vines came out of nowhere and wrapped around her. Epna screamed in fear. Ah! Johann quickly cut the vine, protecting Epna. This is why I hate the Imperial Palace. It's crawling with pests everywhere. Then suddenly, Maren appeared, laughing cheerfully. Ha ha ha. It's Teacher Epna. Teacher, this place is super fun, Epna yelled in a panic. Maren! Johann hastily prepared to rush in and deal with it. Don't worry, teacher. I'll take care of it right now. But Epna quickly stopped him. No, sir. Knight, that's a parasitic plant called a confida. It drains holy power. He didn't understand what she meant. Drains. Epna explained the plant's ability. That's right, the stronger the holy power, the more easily it can be suppressed. That's precisely why it so easily lured Maren. Everything was happening differently from what she expected. In the original novel, they weren't supposed to show up until the middle of the main plot. I didn't expect them to target Maren so soon. Epna worriedly explained their purpose and how they work. Those things take advantage of a person's weaknesses to enchant them. Someone like you, Sir Deshak, with your powerful holy energy, is even more vulnerable than Maren. But for some reason, Maren is playing so cheerfully. Ha ha ha, mommy, that tickles. Johann glanced back at Epna. Then, it seemed he had made his decision. Johann tightened his grip on his sword. He charged forward without a shred of fear. He slashed at it decisively, one strike after another. Crush. Ah. Johann landed and seriously assessed the situation. Then, he turned back to Epna and said, If I end up getting taken down in a humiliating way, you'll run, right? Don't look back. As if realizing his intention, she screamed in terror. No, don't go, Sir Deshak. Sap sprayed from the vines everywhere. Johann, covering her face, Maren had just been happily playing with them. Wee, mommy, higher, take me higher. He said nothing more and continued to swing his sword, sending the swarm flying with every strike until they were too dizzy to stand it. Anymore, they unconsciously let go of Maren. Ah, I'm flying high in the sky, Epna screamed in a panic. No, Maren. She didn't even think. Her body automatically lunged forward. In that instant, before I could even think, my body moved on its own. Epna's feet pushed off as she leaped. Thankfully, she caught the little girl in time, a strength she had never experienced. In her life flowed through her naturally, like a child taking its first steps. Epna asked anxiously, Maren, are you okay? The little girl was still, smiling without a care. Epna, suddenly realized then, without a doubt, that she truly possessed the gift of a winkster. Maren excitedly recounted, Teacher, did you see? I was flying high in the sky with mommy just now, in the middle of her sentence. The little girl suddenly fell asleep. She's asleep. It's probably an effect of the holy power. It was over, and Johann rushed over to check on her. Teacher, are you okay, teacher? He stopped short when he saw Epna sobbing, tears streaming down her face. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I was so tense, I can finally relax. Epna burst into tears of joy, hastily wiping them away with her hand. How silly of me, acting like I did something amazing. Johann awkwardly raised his hand, but when he saw a tear fall from Epna's eye, he pulled his hand back. Now then, teacher. Johann knelt to examine her injury. It seems your hand is hurt, let me take a look. Epna, still clutching Maren tightly, said, It's fine, I was more worried about you, my lord. Johann smiled. I'm fine. Suddenly, he lifted his shirt to reveal a scar on his side. Look, I was once slashed very deeply by a sword, but I healed myself right away and survived. If my healing skills are poor, you can scold me for it, so please let me see your wound. I will hold Maren. Epna, with tears still welling in her eyes, obediently held out her hand to Johann. All right, here. He used his power on her wrist, and the wound slowly began to heal. Johann couldn't help but think to himself, just a moment ago, she leaped an incredible distance just to catch Maren. Could that be the power of a winkster? Epna looked at her wrist, a little surprised, and didn't forget to add a joke. The wound healed up nicely, so I guess I won't have to scold you. Suddenly a voice shouted as someone ran towards them. Maren, my daughter. It was the high priest Hapsdysat. Oh heavens, you're safe. Hearing the commotion, the little girl groggily woke up. Father. Johann moved to help him up. Maren is completely fine, father, so please get up. At this, Haps feigned annoyance and started tickling Maren. You naughty girl, father told you to. Stay close to your teacher. The little girl giggled endlessly. Father, stop! Mommy called for me. He didn't understand what Maren was saying. Your mother? The little girl answered honestly. Mommy called me to eat cookies and we sang together too. Maren was so happy. Haps pulled the girl into his arms and cried, Marin. Johan came up behind Epna to tell the tragic story of that year. It was by a lake that time too, when my mother passed away. I couldn't do anything but watch her leave me. At that moment, she too understood. So that was it, Epna thought, recalling the earlier scene. So that's why he was so terrified. Haps angrily berated the staff. Honestly, how could you people let a beast like a Kenfida run loose within the walls? Absolutely incompetent. Hearing that, Epna was completely speechless. That temper, like father, like daughter. Later, then he used his power. I must request a private audience with His Majesty to find out how something like this could get in. The light of his power surrounded him. Epna, it's all thanks to you, teacher, that the child is safe. She was surprised to see such strong power. My clothes and hair are already dry. Divine power is truly amazing. At that moment, Haps introduced himself to Epna. I apologize for the delayed introduction. I am Haps Dysart, the one who will become Marin's guardian. She bowed respectfully in greeting. Hello, sir. I am Epna, Marin's homeroom teacher. Thank you, and I also apologize. Guardian Haps spoke to comfort her. Please don't blame yourself. The temptation of a Kenfida is not something just anyone can resist. We are the ones who owe you a great debt, he declared boldly. From now on, if it's anything related to Roneidel Kindergarten, or you, Miss Epna, I will agree to anything. Epna was about to say something, Guardian. The Kenfida you saw was, when Johan, who was beside her, coughed to stop her. He signaled for Epna to be quiet. At that moment, she thought deeply. If that's the case, then, with what I've read in the side story about the Saintess, I might be able to find some clues. Suddenly, Epna burst out laughing, leaving Johan completely confused. Teacher, why are you laughing like that? She refused to explain. It's nothing. The sly smile of a romantic female lead that couldn't be revealed publicly. Haps quickly said his goodbyes. Well then, I'll take the child home first. Epna smiled as she saw him off. Yes, please get her home safely. After that, Johan followed suit. He didn't forget to remind her, I should also get going. If you feel even a little bit of pain, you must go to the hospital for a checkup. Epna bowed politely. Thank you, Grand Duke. Seeing that both of them had left, she sighed in relief. Phew, at least now I can breathe a little. I have to get back to the kids soon. Suddenly, a voice called out, Epna Winchester. She turned around in confusion, thinking, Winchester? Why would someone here be calling me by my old name? Before long, Epna recognized him. Ah, you're... The scene became strangely quiet. Eva frowned slightly as she recognized the man in front of her. Eva Gwinster? So, it's her brother. He came to insult her for no reason. So, Marquis Vichung really did meet you. How dare you show your face here? Despite that, Epna still spoke politely. It's been a long time, brother. But let's be clear about one thing. I've always been here. You just couldn't find me. You're the one who just showed up out of the blue, aren't you? He approached Epna step by step. You seem bolder than the last time we met. Epna wasn't scared and stood her ground. Is that so? Are you planning to hit me again? He angrily grabbed her by the collar and pulled hard. Have you lost your mind? Epna squeezed her eyes shut, ready to take the blow. Suddenly, a sword blocked his hand. Perhaps because this was a greenhouse, Johan had returned just in time. But there really are too many pests here. Seeing him, the man stuttered in fear. Sir, Johan? He didn't understand why Johan would appear here. What brings you here? More importantly, what on earth is happening here? Although a smile was still on his face, Johan looked incredibly cold. I came to clean up the pests. It seems there's one clinging tightly to your arm right now. Shall I crush it for you? The man's face turned pale with fear, and he immediately let go of Epna's collar. He stumbled and fell to the ground, coughing violently. No, Johan paid him no mind. He turned to ask Epna, Teacher, are you planning to head back now? She replied, Yes, I still need to take the kids home too. Johan smiled brightly and offered, I'll escort you. Epna hesitated for a moment, looking at his hand, and then she happily agreed. Well then, I won't refuse, thank you, sir. The scene changes to the market, where Epna was struggling to choose the right materials. What can I use instead of felt? From a distance, the sound of an argument suddenly erupted. I already told you, get lost, she thought curiously. Oh my, is there a fight over there? Duke Caden Hugh Devon? Why is the Duke here? She couldn't quite hear what they were saying, as the male vendor angrily explained, I've told you over and over again, our business is clean, there's no slave trading going on here. Epna flinched when she heard that phrase, slave trading. Caden remained calm in the face of the outburst. I just came to buy a gift for my wife. Are your ears so deaf that you can't understand? But the man continued to shout, I won't believe it unless you come. Here with your wife. Then he suddenly noticed Epna behind him. What? Is that woman behind you perhaps your wife? She awkwardly stepped forward at that moment. Oh dear, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. Hello, yeah. Caden casually put his arm around her shoulder. That's right, she's my wife. The man still wasn't convinced. Damn it, you're dressed so nicely, but your wife is wearing such tattered clothes? Epna was so insulted she was speechless. This jerk, what an ass. It's no use arguing back. She glanced over at him, who was silent. Even the Duke was at a loss for words. Caden tightened his grip on Epna's shoulder and then spoke, pretending she was indeed his wife. Not only do you dare to stare at another man's wife right in front of him, but you also run that filthy mouth of yours. Huh? Honey, my feelings are hurt. Epna froze at his words. Huh? Caden quickly signaled to her. This is the dress your father bought for you, remember? Epna quickly caught on. Ah, that's right. My father gave me this dress. He even dragged his sick body out to buy it for me. The vendor believed them immediately. Wait, I didn't mean it like that. Kaden leaned in and whispered in her ear. Want me to just shoot him? Epna's face went pale with fear. No, hubby, that's a bit. Suddenly the vendor shouted, Hey, what are you standing around for? Get a move on, there's a raid. What? Damn it, we're screwed, run, run! He pushed the two of them. Vendor believed them immediately. Wait, I didn't mean it like that. Kaden leaned in and whispered in her ear. Want me to just shoot him? Turned to Epna and asked, Teacher, are you alright? She said, a bit embarrassed. Yes, I'm sorry. I was just too curious and couldn't stop staring. But are they really trading slaves? Kaden replied, I can't disclose that. Epna didn't give up and wanted to find out the story. If it's a matter of top secret information, I'm very good at keeping secrets. Usually if something is classified, I'm sure. You would just pretend not to know, right? He avoided her curious gaze and said, It's just as you heard, recently But are they really trading slaves? Kaden replied, I can't disclose that. Epna didn't give up and wanted to find out the story. Slave trade has been happening in secret. Epna was so surprised her jaw dropped. Those lunatics, he continued, and that's not all. Used in Magitech, right? Then Kaden moved closer to her. Now does it feel more like a classified matter? Before rumors start spreading that I'm funding the slave traders, I have to crush them all myself. Epna realized just how dangerous the situation was. You're right. If the Hildevan mineral is being used, then wipe them out completely? What do you mean by wipe them out? He looked at her, the corner of his lips curling slightly. Epna immediately tried to change the subject. This is probably too big for me to comprehend. He replied, I was just answering your question, teacher. Sweat started to pour as Emna grew incredibly flustered. All right, damn it, this nosy curiosity of mine is going to get me killed. Kaden watched her in silence for a moment before letting out a soft chuckle. She really is an interesting person. Excuse me, sir. What did you just say? It was nothing at all. A teacher at Roneidel Kindergarten. That day, on a beautiful morning as the sun's rays shone down through the leaves, Emna called out a reminder. Hey ma'am, please don't push the stroller forward. Meanwhile, Phillips's mother was earnestly instructing her son. Do you understand, Phillips? You absolutely must be chosen. The path to school today was much noisier than usual, when suddenly Emna's eyes were drawn to the man. In the middle of the schoolyard, she was a little surprised, thinking to herself, is the Emperor this free? His Majesty was holding Maxon in his arms, instructing, Maxon, this role must be yours at all costs. Teacher Emna stood before the large, stone-paved gate. She tilted her head slightly, her clear voice inviting each parent and student to enter. Esteemed parents, dear students, please enter one by one. A neat line formed, with children holding the hands of their parents and siblings, creating a solemn, yet warm atmosphere. Johann led little Marie, and the two cheerfully entered. It was the day to cast the school play. Right after them was Duke Kaden, and the young boy, Ban Tander. She stood on the podium and announced in a clear voice, We will now begin the auditions for the semester play. Immediately after, the entire hall erupted in thunderous applause, and the sound of excited cheers rose endlessly. That's right, the auditions for the school play. The children might just be excited, but for the adults, this is a war for the pride of the aristocracy. Emna spoke as she gently pulled a curtain aside. Our kindergarten has a rather unique way of casting roles. We choose a theme, the children will give a presentation, and through a vote, the one with the most votes gets the lead role, Emna announced. And now, I will reveal this year's theme. With that, she reached out and pulled back the red curtain, revealing the words written clearly on the green board. She announced cheerfully, It's the thing you love the most. A bright smile bloomed on her lips, her voice echoing through the auditorium. In 5 days, we will hold the presentations for this theme. A surprised parent exclaimed, Oh my gosh, isn't that the exact theme the Mothers Club predicted? Madam, is that really true? I heard the Mothers Club has access to some top-tier intel, Emna replied casually. People are the same no matter where you go. That's just how it is. Initially, there was a lot of opposition to plays at an aristocratic school, with people questioning why they'd let their children sing and dance. But whichever child wins the lead role in the play always becomes the PTA president later on at the academy. That's why it's become a fierce battlefield, directly linked to the entrance exams. Emna gently addressed the parents. Now, since we have to start class, I must ask all parents to please head home. Children, let's go to class now. The parents immediately rushed out, and the hall grew noisy. Nanny, what is the doll my child loves the most again? Melissa absolutely has to be the lead, at any cost. 3 hours to prepare, 3 minutes to dismiss. After the theme was announced, there were 5 days left until the presentation. A scared Ban Tander said to the Duke, Brother, I don't want to do it, the lead role is scary. He immediately comforted the boy. What if I give you 20 chocolate bars? Will you do it? The boy happily replied. 20, I'll do it. Johann gently placed his hand on Marilyn's head, smiling happily, and told him that if Marilyn got the lead role, she would definitely look like a princess. The boy turned back and replied with disdain, Captain Johann, your sister isn't royalty, so how can she be a princess? At most, she could be the crown princess. He angrily retorted, That's ridiculous. Marilyn has too much talent and potential to just be a crown princess. The other person replied firmly, That's exactly why she must be strictly trained to become a crown princess. The atmosphere grew tense. I told you to leave. Seeing things were getting out of hand, Edna ran over to intervene. All right now, we need to get the children to class, if you'll all follow me. Meanwhile, Kaden was still happily chatting with his little brother. 20 chocolate bars. Ban Thunder. Edna leaned down and said to the children, "So, shall we all go to class now?" Ban Thunder held up 2 fingers, his face beaming as he said to her, "Teacher, my brother said he's going to give me 20 chocolate bars." She gave a bright smile and congratulated Ban Thunder. The road ahead was long, and the sunset stretched across the tiled roofs, red, bathing the entire town in a warm, gentle orange glow that sparkled like gold dust. Alpha looked at the costume shop and thought, for the role in the play, what kind of costume would be appropriate? I want to get it from somewhere better than our usual supplier we usually use. Edna called out, "Excuse me, I'm here to look at children's clothes." Suddenly, she froze in shock. What the? Why in a children's clothing store? Is there a sound like a slap? A woman swung her arm and slapped the person beside her, screaming, "Who dares say my child can't play the lead role? Say it again. Just say it again." Edna gasped. "Oh no, those are parents from my class." The other parent shouted, "With such an uncultured parent, it's no wonder their kid is useless." "What? Who do you think you are to judge whether my daughter is good or not?" Edna froze, saying softly, "Everyone." But no one heard what she said. "But am I wrong?" The other parent immediately raised her hand to slap her. Instantly, Edna rushed forward to block the other parent, taking the full force of the slap to save the person who transmigrated into the fantasy romance novel. A piercing scream rang out, and she immediately fell to the floor, onto the wooden floor with a heavy thud, leaving a tense atmosphere to envelop the entire room. "Oh my good lord!" The 2 parents stared at her in shock. Edna slowly got up, and only then did they recognize her. "Miss Edna, oh my, what do we do?" "Now, teacher, are you okay?" She gently rubbed her head and answered quietly, "Yes, I'm fine. Parents, is everyone else all right?" A parent said in a panic, "Teacher, your nose is bleeding." Edna gave a small smile. "Really? I'm fine, perfectly fine." But as she stood up, a school play that's supposed to be a joyous occasion has turned into a chaotic competitive battlefield. "Perhaps we should consider canceling this event." The 2 parents immediately cried out in alarm, "Teacher, you can't! My son absolutely has to become the student council president." The other parent hesitantly said, "Teacher, please, at least this one thing." She smiled brightly. "You two, were you planning on continuing to fight?" The 2 parents immediately hugged each other, saying in unison, No, we're not going to fight anymore, we've made up." Edna replied cheerfully, "Good. Since this is an event the children have been looking forward to, we can't be canceled just because of an accident." "Yes, of course." She nodded with a satisfied smile and said, "Excellent, then I'll be taking my leave. You two must continue to get along." "Okay then." Those 2 bowed slightly and embraced each other tightly. "Ah, so that's what it was. So that's why the kids are so obedient after kindergarten." Behind the door she sighed softly, "I'm so exhausted. I only met one parent and already had to deal with so much. And even a fist fight." She walked home with heavy steps. "I just want to go home and rest, but I definitely need to find a new place." Her gaze suddenly stopped. She stared thoughtfully into an alley as a memory rushed back. "That's the building where I yelled my darling husband to Duke Hindenburg. I heard it's a place for slave trafficking. Is the raid over already? It's still open for business." While I was lost in my memories, a voice suddenly rang out.